What happens when Christmas spirit meets hip-hop warfare? On December 25, 2024, Brooklyn rapper Fabolous unleashed one of the year's most explosive disses at 50 Cent, and the internet is absolutely on fire. This isn't just another social media spat. This is a full-blown lyrical assault that has the entire hip-hop community choosing sides. Welcome to the battlefield where bars replaced bullets, and Christmas Day became the day nobody asked for but everybody's watching. It all started weeks earlier when Jim Jones, Menno Dave East, and Fabolous criticized 50 Cent's Netflix documentary about Diddy on their podcast. Let's rap about it. Jones called it petty behavior and dismissed it as a mockumentary rather than legitimate journalism. Anyone who knows 50 Cent knows one fundamental truth. The man does not let anything slide. On December 17, 2024, 50 took to Instagram with devastating efficiency, accusing the entire podcast crew of being squatters who owed $250,000 in unpaid rent for their studio space. These guys are squatters. They owe $250,000 for the space they are filming their podcast, 50 wrote. These bums are trying to win Best Dressed Award and can't pay their bills. 50 didn't stop there. He shared purported audio from the building's landlord allegedly confirming the unpaid rent situation, and even suggested he might purchase the building himself and take ownership of 50% of their podcasts. The claim appears to have had some effect, as 50 later posted that Jim Jones had wired the $200,000 over. Before Fabolous entered the fray, Menno was the first to respond. Hitting Instagram with a photoshopped image of 50 Cent sporting long curly hair and big hoop earrings. Meat killer curly ladies and gentlemen, Menno wrote. But when Christmas Day rolled around, the podcast crew decided to let their bars do the talking. They gathered in the studio and did what rappers do best. They dropped the squatters' freestyle. All four hosts spit verses over classic 50 Cent instrumentals, a power move using 50's own beats to diss him. On the podcast segment itself, Fab joked about embracing their new nickname, suggesting they rename their show Let's Squat About It. "I'm not leaving," he declared, turning 50's insult into a rallying cry. But when the freestyle began, Fab's tone shifted from playful to deadly serious. Fabolous didn't just throw shots, he launched missiles. His verse was packed with references to 50's career, his personal life, and most controversially, his ex-girlfriend Daphne Joy's alleged involvement in the Diddy trial. Fab opened with a nod to one of 50's biggest hits, "Them window shoppers ain't really gone cop nada," a subtle jab at 50's credibility. He continued with this blick like a magic stick, your top voila, cleverly flipping another 50 Cent classic into a threat. But the bar that really got everyone talking was this one. "You know I got power? Your shorty got hot showered." This line is loaded with meaning and represents the nuclear option in this beef. The first part references 50 Cent's massively successful Power television franchise. The second part, "Your shorty got hot showered," is where things get deeply personal. Fab is referencing Daphne Joy, 50 Cent's ex-girlfriend, and the mother of his son Sire Jackson. The reference alludes to disturbing testimony that emerged during Diddy's federal sex trafficking trial in June 2025. A witness known only as Jane Doe testified about being involved in what prosecutors called freak-offs, drug-fueled encounters that allegedly involved degrading acts, including reports of urination fetishes. While Daphne Joy's identity has never been officially confirmed as Jane Doe, internet speculation ran rampant after the witness testified that she dated Diddy from 2021 until his 2024 arrest, and that her child's father had a contentious relationship with Combs. Given that 50 Cent and Diddy have been feuding for nearly 2 decades, and that photos surfaced in 2021 of Joy and Diddy vacationing together in Miami, many believed the dots connected. 50 Cent himself fueled these rumors during the trial with Instagram posts featuring Daphne Joy next to courtroom sketches. He also made degrading comments about Joy, referring to her in crude terms in response to an interview that Cameron conducted with a male sex worker who testified against Diddy. By bringing up the hot shower reference, Fabolous wasn't just attacking 50, he was weaponizing one of the most painful situations in 50's personal life, involving the mother of his child and his longtime enemy Diddy. Interestingly, Fab ended his freestyle with a moment of reflection that felt almost out of place given the venom that came before. How is these grown-ass men acting childish? It's a valid question that highlights the absurdity of the situation. Here we have successful middle-aged men, all millionaires, all with legitimate business ventures, engaging in what amounts to schoolyard beef on a global stage. As if the podcast beef wasn't enough, 50 Cent has also been engaged in an escalating feud with Demetrius Big Meech Flannery, the co-founder of the Black Mafia family. Big Meech was released from federal prison in October 2024 and transferred to a halfway house in Miami. Initially, 50 and Big Meech seemed to be on good terms. 50 even posted photos of them together in November 2024. However, the relationship had soured dramatically by February 2025. The turning point came when Big Meech was photographed hanging out with Rick Ross and Floyd Mayweather, two of 50 Cent's biggest rivals. 50 responded by accusing Big Meech of being a rat, posting images of rats alongside lyrics from Rick Ross's 2010 song that includes the line, "I think I'm Big Meech." The beef reached a new level on December 23, 2024, when Big Meech sent a direct message to actor Crease D. Lofton, who plays a character on 50's Power Book 6 Force series. The message simply read, "What's up, fam, let's work." 50 immediately posted the screenshot with his characteristic mockery. "Work on what? He's an actor. He don't want to sell dope, fool. You watching too much Force?" Not a chance, Demetrius. As news of Faboulous spread across social media, reactions were mixed and passionate. Many praised Fab for standing up to 50's relentless trolling. "Fab cooked. That your Shorty got hot showered line was nasty." Finally, someone with the balls to really go at 50. Respect to Loso. The fact that he did it over 50's own beats makes it even more disrespectful. Others argued that Fab had crossed the line and that 50 would have the last laugh. Fab mentioned another man's baby mama. That's foul. He just gave 50 all the ammunition he needs. 50 is going to destroy him. Fab should have stayed in his lane. Can't out-troll the king of petty. This won't end well for Fabolous. A significant portion of the commentary focused on the absurdity of the situation. These grown men really beefing over a podcast and a documentary about another grown man's legal troubles. Make it make sense. Fab asked, "How is these grown-ass men acting childish?" And honestly, he's right. This is all dumb. The only winners here are the blogs and social media. Everyone else looks crazy. The big question now is, how will 50 Cent respond? Based on his history, we can expect several things. 50 will absolutely flood his Instagram with memes, old footage, anything else he can find to embarrass Fabolous and the entire podcast crew. While 50 was once one of hip-hop's most feared battle rappers, those days are largely behind him. His focus is on television production and business ventures. He's more likely to respond with Instagram posts than with a diss track, though if he feels sufficiently disrespected, he might call in favors from artists like Tony Yayo or other G-Unit affiliates. 50 is a master at finding people's pressure points. He'll likely dig into Faboulous' past, his finances, his relationships, or any other area where he can cause embarrassment. If the pattern with Big Meech is any indication, 50 might look for ways to impact the Let's Rap About It podcast's business operations. He already claimed to be trying to buy their building and might actually follow through or find other ways to apply financial pressure. This beef is happening at a time when hip-hop is undergoing something of an identity crisis. The genre has achieved unprecedented mainstream success, and hip-hop is the dominant force in American popular music. But with that success has come questions about authenticity, credibility, and what hip-hop actually represents in 2024. 50 Cent, Fabolous, Jim Jones, and Menno all represent what we might call the old guard of hip-hop. Artists who came up in the early 2000s when the genre was still fighting for mainstream respect and when beefs often had real, dangerous consequences. Yet here they are, decades later, still engaging in these conflicts. But now, the stakes are different. Instead of bullets, they're firing off Instagram posts. Instead of life and death, it's about ego and money. Another interesting aspect of this situation is that it's centered around a podcast, not music. Let's Rap About It as part of a larger trend of rappers moving into the podcast space. This shift has created new dynamics. Podcasts thrive on controversy and attention, which creates incentives for hosts to make inflammatory statements, like calling 50's documentary a mockumentary. Those statements generate clips, social media engagement, and ultimately more listeners and more money. But they also have consequences, as the Let's Rap About It crew has now discovered. Underlying all of this is the specter of Sean Diddy Combs, whose federal trial for sex trafficking, racketeering, and other charges has dominated hip-hop news for months. 50 Cent's Netflix documentary is part of his long-standing feud with Diddy, which dates back to the early 2000s. 50 has positioned himself as someone who saw through Diddy's public persona long ago. The Let's Rap About It podcast's criticism of the documentary can be seen as defending Diddy, or at least questioning whether it's appropriate to profit off someone's legal troubles while they're fighting for their freedom. 50's response, exposing their unpaid rent and personal business, was his way of saying, "You want to question my motives? Let's talk about yours." One of the most troubling aspects of this entire saga is how women, particularly Daphne Joy, have become collateral damage in these male ego battles. Joy has been subjected to accusations in a civil lawsuit which she denied, public speculation about her identity as a trial witness, degrading comments from 50 Cent, the father of her child, and now being referenced in a diss track as a punchline. And for what? Because these grown men can't resolve their differences like adults? This speaks to a larger problem in hip-hop culture where women are often treated as props or prizes in male conflicts. Joy's humanity, her feelings, and the impact on her son seem to be afterthoughts at best, completely ignored at worst. Looking at this situation objectively, who actually wins? 50 looks petty and cruel. The podcast crew looks financially irresponsible, and like they bit off more than they can chew. Fabolous looks like he went too far with personal attacks. Daphne Joy gets dragged through the mud again. The only real winners are the blogs, social media platforms, and content creators who get to cover the drama and generate engagement. When Fabolous asked, "How is these grown-ass men acting childish?" he touched on something fundamental. There's something deeply absurd about wealthy, successful, middle-aged men engaging in these kinds of conflicts. But absurdity has never stopped hip-hop before. After all, this is a genre that's built on bravado, competition, and sometimes pure pettiness. The question is whether this particular brand of beef, personal, cruel, and amplified by social media, serves anyone's interests, or whether it's just a race to the bottom where everyone ends up covered in mud. One thing is certain, 50 Cent isn't going to let this go. Fabolous has put himself squarely in the crosshairs of one of hip-hop's most relentless trolls. Whether he's prepared for what comes next remains to be seen. As for the rest of us, we'll be watching, commenting, and probably enabling more of the same behavior we're criticizing. Because as much as we might shake our heads at the childishness of it all, we can't look away. And that, perhaps, is the real problem. We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Did Fabolous go too far with the Daphne Joy reference? Or was it fair game in a rap beef? Is 50 Cent right to call out the podcast crew for allegedly not paying rent? Or is he being petty? Should there be boundaries in hip-hop beef when it comes to people's families and personal lives? Who do you think won this exchange, Fabolous or 50 Cent? Are you Team Fab, Team 50, or Team Y'all are all acting ridiculous? Don't forget to like this video if you want to see more hip-hop news analysis. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss breaking news from the culture. Hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when 50 Cent inevitably responds. And share this video with your friends who love hip-hop drama. The culture is watching. The question is, what happens next?